Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another week of Cinema Sit Down. I'm your host, Noah Moore, and this week we watched a movie called Limitless from 2011, starring Bradley Cooper, directed by Neil Berger. And I believe we got some interesting discussion and some interesting questions. We'll see you in just a second. All right, I'm joined with some lovely guests here today. If y'all want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Cassidy.
Isaiah.
Leilani.
And Nolan.
And like I said earlier, we had just finished watching the movie Limitless, and I don't know, what are y'all initial thoughts? You know what I'm saying? Where did it leave you since we fresh off of the movie?
I mean, I saw it when it kind of first came out I think a year or two after, and rewatching it, I really enjoyed it still. I thought it was a great movie. I love The Hangover, so I love Bradley Cooper. I think he's just such an entertaining actor for me.
Definitely
he's not
so.
like a super great actor or anything like that, but he's entertaining. I love him.
I give it to him.
So it's just as good as when I first watched it, I'd say.
Good, yeah. I don't know if I watched this movie all the way back when it came out in 2011. I feel like movies were just so different back then. Like everything was so much darker. I don't know what was up with the
Real.
movies. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. What about the rest of y'all? What y'all think initially?
I also really liked this movie. It took a lot of turns I did not expect in like a kind of drug heist kind of film.
It did.
And I really liked that. It also made me wonder what I would do if I took this drug and what my journey with that would look like. But I really enjoyed it, and definitely gives the 2010 dark saturation vibes too, which I like that throwback. So.
Leilani?
I really liked it. A lot of the movies that we've been watching, I'll go and read up the summaries on them and whatnot, but this one I didn't, so I didn't know what to expect.
So you went this one blind.
Yeah, and I really liked it. There's a lot of parts that I liked. The story itself, I loved the editing. It was pretty crazy.
Okay, yeah,
but the
you
whole
mentioned that.
wondering what I would be doing if I was on those drugs, I don't know where I'd be right now.
Sure, hopefully not here.
Running KMOS.
Should be at Harvard. What do you think, Nolan?
I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. The only thing I knew, it was another one of those movies based on the premise of oh, do you know you only use 20% of your brain? What if we used 100?
Yeah.
'Cause that's not true. You do use 100 all the time. It's an old wives' tale perpetuated by the idea that intelligence takes up space, and it doesn't. So I hate when things are like there's this movie, there's a few other movies that are based on it, and I just was like, oh, this is gonna suck. And then we were 20 minutes in, and I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. So I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I don't know how I feel about the ending though, because I feel like, spoiler I guess, but everything just kind of works out for Eddie, and I feel like, I know that it's the point to show this is what life is like in the first class. You could maybe kill someone and do a bunch of drugs and things will be fine. But I did want him to
pay for
face
at least
a little bit of consequence.
Yeah, I agree. I think at the end he just kind of walked away like this had never happened. Well, no, literally he got all the benefit and no con.
Well, that's the thing. It's it doesn't really feel like he earned anything that happened to him.
Definitely not.
He literally gets fed with a golden spoon, a silver spoon, and he gets everything. And then the movie ends. And it's okay, he kind of had to go through some hardships, but even with that, he would just pop a pill and he'd be good. So
Yeah.
it's I really wish that they would have gotten him off the pills earlier, because at the end it's oh, is he still on the pills? Is he not? But
Yeah, find out he has his own lab and he's just creating his own.
Exactly. So it's okay, so he really
Moderation.
is just on the pills. Because I was kind of I didn't remember the ending, so I was oh, maybe he really got off the pills and he just made this life for himself. He was inspired, but no. It's
it's
not
just
satisfying to me at all.
Yeah,
More-
they really dumped everything onto the audience at the end there. Just a whole bunch of stuff that could have been impacted, but
It was that time skip too. It's forget everything that happened in a year. Did he keep taking the pills over that year? What really happened? It doesn't matter. He's a senator now. He's coming out on top over Robert De Niro, and everything's sweet basically. Forget the murders. Forget the tied in with the Russian mob. Just, you know what I'm saying? He's just cool. But that's a lot about the story and whatnot. What did y'all think about the editing and whatnot? Because I feel like there was some kind of technical, some little creativity going on with the editing. Was there anything that felt like kind of stood out at all?
I mean, pretty much every time that they first use the drug and that 30 seconds of nothing, and then it kicks in, and it just does that kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a
color change.
yeah, and the color change and all that. I thought that was a really cool way to show it, and also just the way there's one scene where he's in like some office high tower thing, and it's kind of panning, and you see multiple versions of Bradley Cooper like talking to people, and it kind of just shows like he's kind of experiencing all these things at once. And a lot of the things that they show is he's getting all this great stuff happening to him in his life, but he's not really experiencing them because it's just all morphing into one thing all at once, and then he blacks out and wakes up and he's like, oh, that kind of sucks. So I like the way they portrayed that.
I thought that was pretty cool too. If you think about it, that's low-key probably like a basic edit, like adding like multiple versions of yourself or something. Like we could low-key do that,
Right.
But most people don't know that, and they ain't never seen that, and so like I feel like that kind of helped make it stand out a little bit to everyone else. Or what did y'all think? What did you think of the editing?
You said basic edit, dude. I think I'd have so much trouble trying to do that.
You think so?
Because there's like that moment where like as you kind of pan over, it just shows another version of himself. But there were also moments where even like in his apartment, there's literally like 5 of him overlapping. So it wasn't even like you see one then the other, but it's just all together. And I thought it was also really cool because having all of him at the same time shows like the expedited process. Like everything's happening at once, like how he's getting all of this work done. He wrote a whole novel in like 4 days.
4 days.
And just seeing that visual kind of helped like represent like what was happening, especially like in his mind, just everything like keeps going.
It's like visual storytelling with the editing and stuff.
But then also, it's just crazy because like whenever he's not on the drugs, he doesn't remember how to do most of the stuff, so that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
It looks rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's horrible without the drugs.
I don't know how I got from editing to that, but
He
I
had
did like the editing.
It's crazy. He had a gig writing books beforehand, and then they was like, "How far you got into the book?" He's like, "Bro, I ain't even started." And then it's like, "Well, okay, so how did you even get there?" And then the drug, and then it's like, "Boom, oh, I got a whole book in 4 days." I'd already have been like, "What are you on, bro?" Like,
Well, it's like I do enjoy stories where the main character is kind of an average guy.
the zero
But
to hero.
yeah, but in this one, it's like he doesn't have motivation at all. So
Yeah,
I'm
he's
not
horrible.
rooting for him
Yeah,
in
he's-
any sense of the word. He's just a lazy guy, and
Random lazy dude in New York.
yeah, and he's kind of, he's not really that good of a guy. He's completely selfish, and I'm not rooting for him at all. And I feel like they really could have done that beginning portion where, oh, maybe he really is like a good writer who's trying to do his best, but something keeps coming up. Maybe he has to work another job, or he's got family issues.
Yeah, he needed that mom or like daughter in the hospital. Like, type thing
Right,
to give
something
him
like that to make it
motivation,
so
you know what I'm saying?
it's not really entirely his fault that he can't do the work. And then I would be like, I want this guy to finish his book. It's important to him, but I just don't care that Bradley Cooper
Yeah.
finished his book in 2 days or 4 days or whatever.
He wasn't a very sympathetic character.
Yeah, not at all.
But,
Sorry. Keep
oh
going.
no, you're good.
It seemed like because I mentioned briefly that the drug is easier to take if you're smart already, which is why he was able to win the 1v1 against the Russian dude. But it seemed like he was smart in the beginning because of just how he was describing the book. I think the problem was just the motivation thing. So in the very beginning, I was like, oh, I kind of like this guy. But then as it went on and he, just kept blacking out and cheating on his girlfriend, I think they were still together. And just doing more and more stuff. I was like, yeah, no. Every bit of sympathy I had for this character, which wasn't a lot,
Not
just
at all.
completely gone, especially by the end. Because then he decided to be a senator. So
He dropped the
actually
ball
worked.
on a lot of things. First he was a writer, then he was doing the stocks, and I feel like there was something in between, and all of a sudden he's going for presidency or he's a senator, and I'm like,
Try to get his girl back. Kind of worked for a second, and she was like, "No, I don't want nothing to do with it." So you're right, no, yeah. He, even with all the intelligence in the world, he still fumbled a lot of stuff. But that makes me want to ask a question. Say if you only got to do it once, so you only get that one, 24 hours, you only get to make the use out of it. What would you do with your 24 hours?
Well, it's finals week right now, and I have a lot to do. And so I would pop that pill, and I would get all my KMOS stuff done, all my schoolwork done. I'd pack up my house. I'd just get things done that I don't want to do and I need to get done. If we're talking, I'm popping it right now.
I like that.
That's fair. I feel like 24 hours. I feel like, well, if I had it for a long period of time, I would just learn as much as I could. But 24 hours, realistically, I'm gonna probably do the same thing that he did and just go straight into like stocks. Make as much money as I can, get out. 24 hours, I'm done. I'm staying up the whole 24 hours, making as much money as I can. And then I'm good. I'm good for the rest of my life.
That's it. Just be back to
Exactly.
normal.
Then I would go
person.
back.
You don't think you'd fiend for it?
Oh no, I would. I mean, I'm saying we only have one, so.
True. Okay,
True.
we
So,
only had one.
I mean, if we had unlimited, I would be Bradley Cooper. I would keep taking it. I mean, I would be a better Bradley Cooper. I wouldn't cheat on my girlfriend or anything like that.
Murder.
Yeah, or murder.
But, or murder, or all the other things he did.
Alleged murder.
Alleged murder.
Alleged murder.
I don't, he did something
Never
else too that was
convicted.
bad.
Free my boy.
I don't know.
Yes, he didn't do
he
it.
didn't do nothing.
He did not do it. What about you, Leilani?
I feel like I'd worry so much about the repercussions. I don't
Oh,
even know if
Lord.
I'd be able to get to it at that point. But
Have
if
a
that
bad
were to
trip.
happen, yeah, I'd just be getting all my work done. Dude, finals week is a beast. So I would probably completely forget about everything else that could have been. You said I'm gonna be making all the money. I'd be like, yeah, I'm just gonna get this whole semester done with. But that's probably a better idea.
It does suck that you can't keep the knowledge. Because
Yeah.
like he said he learned languages just from hearing it vaguely, and that took him like 2 hours. He was learning
while jogging and
yeah,
stuff, all
while
crazy
on a
stuff.
jog.
Rosetta
I would
Stone.
love to just
That's so
learn a
cool.
bunch of stuff and then keep it, but since I can't, I feel
Yeah.
like the money's the one way to go.
That's what I'm
Just
saying,
use
yeah.
as much time as you can to make a ton of money and then just never work again. Or
think-
I would write
Do you
a
think you
lot
can make
like
that
he
much
did.
in a day?
I was gonna
He
say.
couldn't. But
But
I
you
could.
could?
But I could. But no, like he only made like what 7,200 from the stocks in the first day.
Yeah, at first, yep. When he was first coming out, I would have started sports betting. You know what I'm saying? You put out a couple parlays or whatever, and then you know what I'm saying? It'll all gonna come back, and then shoot, yeah, something to make some money right off rip.
Counting cards at a casino.
Yeah.
Counting
Easier.
cards at the casino. Shoot, figuring out how the mechanism work in a slot machine, so you can hit the slot machine a million times. I mean, shoot, there's nothing you couldn't figure out. Cure for cancer? Come on, man. Something good
No one's
for
doing it for
somebody.
good.
Maybe on
That's true,
hour
I forgot
23,
about that.
I'll work
Hour
on
20.
that. That last
Got an
hour,
hour
I'll
left.
think about it.
Now, if you take all that knowledge and actually document it, unlike everything that he had done, maybe then it'd be useful.
Oh,
Yep, I'd
Maybe.
write it
But
down.
Would
would
you
you
be able
really
to,
think
like,
about it at
contain
that
it?
time?
I don't know.
Also, I mean, yeah, you
like
could be
the
writing it
vlog,
in some like
exactly.
still looking like hieroglyphics,
And
and
you'd be
you're
like, what
like,
the hell
yeah,
is this
I don't get that
Yeah.
anymore.
'Cause
So
if you only have 24 hours to cure cancer, you're probably trying to work really fast. So like the
True.
next day, you would look at your handwriting and be like, oh,
What the hell does that
these
say?
are not
Typing.
letters.
It's like checking
Oh,
the
yeah, I don't
notes
know why I
app.
didn't think of that.
It's like- it's just a
Yes,
mess.
What was
your
I
notes
thinking
app
during
just
that
says
time?
gibberish.
That's crazy. Okay, so I mean, shoot.
what would you be doing for a day?
What I do for a day, I'm gonna spend that 24 hours breaking down the drug and figuring out how to make more.
You could say breaking down.
You know what I'm saying? Become a scientist in like 12 hours, and then spend the other 12 hours learning how to recreate that. And then you know what I'm saying?
Why didn't he do that? I was kind of thinking that towards because he went to the guy that had the lab and everything. Why couldn't he just do that himself? He had a ton of money. He could just buy the equipment and he could just learn it.
If you're smart,
Yeah, sorry. I was
No.
gonna say
I didn't
why
think
did,
about that.
I'm very surprised that they didn't go back to that scientist guy, because that felt super important. You're telling me that guy made it and he didn't try it once, and
mean, I'm sorry.
and that didn't
Right.
spiral into a whole different other
Maybe
plot.
he knew it was bad news.
Maybe,
But then why? Well, I
but
guess he wanted.
I saw that
money.
little smirk though. He was interested. He was like 2
he's
million.
like, make it 6
2
months.
million.
plus it'll maybe go crazy
Hold
mode.
up. Now I want a sequel on the scientist.
Exactly. I thought there were so many things that they brought up that just did not
Didn't play
Give
out
it.
all the way.
exactly.
Or like
So-
think about the dude he originally got it from. He like bumped into him, got it from him, and then bam, the dude was just killed like right after that. It's like, okay, who did it and then why? And then forget him. Now we got Robert De Niro, and he's just dealing with Robert De Niro for the rest of it. So you're right, it is a lot of stuff they kind of, that's why one thing I say about the movie is the speed feel a little weird sometimes. Sometimes they focused a lot on like the interaction between like him and his girl or something, and then it's like he's dealing with the Russian stuff and they're just like flying through it. It's like, okay, well, what's really important in this movie? Like some things is like, it's hard to tell sometimes, is one thing I thought. Oh.
Also, with just in terms of like forgotten plot lines, there's a whole thing with like his girlfriend too, and it's just like, why did we have to have that long scene of her getting chased at all if she just immediately leaves him? That's resolved.
leaves him
The
alone.
other guy just ends up coming back at the end.
And like working for him to turn on the lawyer.
Vaguely working with
So-
the one guy, and it's just not really explained at all. And it's like, okay, that just feels like a waste of time.
did.
And I feel like there's a million things you could do with this movie. I feel like it would have been more interesting if it was like House of Cards style, where you see him from the beginning and then he ends up becoming like president or something by the end, and you actually show it. You don't just like time cut around. I don't know. I feel like that would be cool if it was like House of Cards meets, I don't know, Breaking Bad together type of deal.
Limitless.
Limitless.
Yeah, they definitely had the right premise. I feel like they could have executed it a little better. Even the final fight was just against some random like Russian goons in a random just like, you know, his apartment. And he had this super secure apartment, and I like how people immediately break into it. They're just like, oh, 3-layer protection. Oh, we're just gonna saw down the door and then kick it in and then shoot it up, and no one's gonna come call police, nothing. It's just so yeah, a few little plot holes around.
And then the previous owner of that apartment was just conveniently an arms dealer.
Yeah.
So like, oh yeah, no, they actually didn't even question me. They thought that they were looking for the last guy because I only bought this apartment like a week ago. Like, dude, how does this keep happening to you? How is everything so perfect in your life, man?
Very convenient movie. A lot of convenient things happening. Or like at the end, how did he know that that truck was gonna hit that taxi? He's like, watch, that truck over there is gonna hit that taxi. And then he hits it, and Robert De Niro's like, oh my gosh. He's just, all right, bro, you win. It's
At
like,
that
yeah,
point,
yeah.
he supposedly wasn't even on the drugs.
I
so
don't
like,
believe that.
yeah.
His brain is just now fully.
I saw his eye color.
I was
They were
gonna say
so
his
bright.
eyes were max blue, which means he was on that drug.
And all the color was in the scene. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah, biggest plot hole was definitely the fact that he was literally like dying from the drug. He's like outside throwing up. You're blacking out for like 18 hours straight. You're blacked out, low-key murdered somebody in a hotel room.
Allegedly.
And then he was just like, okay, I got taken in moderation, and I just got to stop drinking, and it work out a little bit more, and then it's good.
Yeah, and there's like all these other victims who had taken it. They don't ever come back to that.
Yeah,
what
'cause
happened
that
to
old dude
all?
died.
Yeah, what happens to all the other people who took it and were sick or died?
Oh, yeah.
What about his old like fling he was with?
Wife, ex-wife.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ex-wife.
she's
She,
all
never
freaking
comes
ill.
back. It's just
Yeah.
like it feels like they might have been on the drug while writing the script. It was like 24-hour challenge, and they just started writing plot and just kept going, and just made it. And they're like, oh yeah, we kind of forgot about that.
That's a good point. 'Cause
My bad.
Now I'm thinking, what is the moral of the story that like you can
Yeah, you take drugs.
yeah,
that's
you
the
might as
moral.
well.
Yeah.
Everything might work out. I mean, look at Bradley Cooper. He's the president now, and he's
Yeah.
on something.
No repercussions.
He got a bad haircut though.
He did.
So at least there was one consequence. The entire movie.
You can have all that if you're willing to have the Bradley Cooper cut. But okay, well then shoot. Any final reviews, ratings, and whatnot?
I would give this movie like a 3 out of 5. I did enjoy it, but I am not a huge like action movie girl, and I also the drug films always kind of also like, I don't know, they don't hold my attention as much, which is odd because they aren't usually quite exciting. But I enjoyed it, and it's an interesting watch for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it like a 3 out of 7. I think it's definitely entertaining. I think it's definitely entertaining, but there's just so many. The more I think about it, the more plot holes start to form.
Yeah.
And also like the using 10% of your brain thing is just such a cliche. That's
And it's
just
not even true.
It's not at all true. But you know, if you don't think about it, I probably watched this when I was a little like a kid, and if I just go back in time and watch it like that, it's a good movie.
Yeah,
So-
it was great back then. What about you, Leilani?
Maybe like a 5.5 out of 10. I don't know. I was thinking. I was like,
Not a
maybe
good
6,
movie
maybe
overall,
6.
low-key.
Here's the thing. It really wasn't. It wasn't that bad.
But
I think it's still like
Not good.
once it got to like the whole like them just stabbing each other, I was like, my brain's going down a little bit. But the rest of it, honestly, it wasn't really bad. Especially if you really think about it and you're like, okay.
Nolan.
I think that's a good point. I think towards the end, it started wearing off, and they're like, yeah, well, I guess we just gotta make them stab each other. But I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I'll probably give it like a 5 or 6. I think it was much more entertaining than I expected it to be, and even though it might be advocating for bad habits, I think it was pretty good, and I might even watch it again.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Overall, not the greatest movie, but if you knew what movie I picked last time, this was a lot better. So, thank y'all for joining us. We will see y'all next week for Cinema Sit Down, and thanks to my hosts for joining me. We will see you all next time.
Bye.